Hi, this is Adam from Philly Marketing Labs. Today I'm going to be reviewing the meetup that Philly Marketing Labs had at Michael's Deli in King of Prussia in May of 2014 about acting on your Google Analytics data so you could improve your business results. So before we can identify whether or not we are in a position to make improvements through using our analytics data, we would first need to make a baseline. So this means we can come back in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year down the road and compare to previous periods and see what the data is telling us, what changes we might want to make in order to improve. So the first thing we would need to do is create a goals roadmap. That might include newsletter signups, phone call tracking, filling out forms like consultation forms or contact us forms, downloading a PDF. Those kinds of activities can be set as goals in analytics. So once we've identified our business goals, then we can start to measure. One thing to be cognizant of is the type of traffic that we are getting. The percentage of mobile, desktop, or tablet traffic. How does that help us? How is the mobile version of your website doing? What does that mean? One thing that we should be aware of in this day and age is what percentage of our traffic is coming from various different traffic type sources. For example, mobile, desktop, or tablet. How is the mobile site doing? What's the bounce rate like? Are the mobile visits with a higher bounce rate? And what does that mean? Do I want more returning visitors or do I want more new visitors? Depending on your business model, these answers may be different. It's also good to be aware of where your traffic is coming from, what different sources, for example, email campaigns. And when comparing the data, you're going to want to try to align the dates when you're comparing, either month over month or year over year. You're going to want to align so that we're comparing a Tuesday to a Tuesday, we're comparing a Thursday to a Thursday, because depending on the type of traffic you're getting, it may be very similar week over week. As you can see in this graph, these are lined up day to day. So once your goals are set up and you've gotten some data to review, now we can check out the funnels and see the leaky points and fix them. And a funnel is basically the steps that the visitor's taking on their way to completing the goal, whatever that goal may be. By taking a look at the funnel, we can see where slight improvements could mean quite a bit of difference into the bottom line. And this is what a checkout funnel looks like. You can see where they got to, where the visitors got to the checkout, how many made it to billing, how many made it to shipping, and where people actually exited during this process. I'm just going to touch on bounce rate again briefly. Bounce rate is very helpful because what it tells you is that a visitor arrived at that page and didn't visit any other pages on the website. They looked at that one page and then they left. So if it's in our best interest for the visitor to continue on to view other pages of this website, seeing a high rate of bounce is going to obviously tell us a lot of information and prompt us to make changes to improve that, to lower that bounce rate. So some takeaways from this section of the meetup is right here in front of you. All our measurements should follow from the business strategy and your business goals. Obviously, measuring the key performance indicators that are specified in advance. Tracking across multiple devices is becoming more critical, obviously, with the advent and more implementation of cell phone devices and that kind of thing. Insight to the nature of the visitors can help us dynamically steer our strategy. Obviously, if we see how the visitors are behaving on the website, we can see where we need to make changes in order to steer them where we want them to be, stay on the site longer, or continue on to the completion of the goal. And then paying attention to the goal completions is going to provide us insight into how they're interacting with our brand. Are they really going and completing the trip to the goal, or are they not really finding it? Maybe they need to be able to see it better, whatever it is. So some takeaways from this section of the meetup is that your measurements should follow from your business strategy and the goals that you've created. Tracking across multiple devices is becoming more and more important with cell phone and tablet use. Paying attention to the nature of our visitors and how they're interacting with the site is going to help us, is going to help you make your strategy, change it on the fly to deal with the visitors' behaviors. Paying attention to the goal completions is going to provide you with insight into how the people are interacting with the brand. And the bounce rates, they're going to provide a real easy way to see whether or not you need to improve your conversion optimization or not. So the next part of the meetup was about universal analytics and the differences, and this is going to be something that is going to be required. Google is discontinuing the classic analytics platform in September, so it makes sense that we review and discuss the differences and how it can benefit you. One of the reasons for this universal analytics change by Google is because there's more ways for people to engage with your brand now. It was hard for Google to track individual users when they're tagged by the device, and then maybe they would find you on another device a different way, on a mobile device, and then another time they go back to the desktop, and then they're on a different laptop, and they all looked like individual separate visits when that wasn't necessarily the case. Now what happens in universal analytics is the user is tagged with an individual user ID, and then it will track that person across multiple platforms. Now, one of the reasons that Google did this is because there's multiple different ways that people can interact with your brand online now, and different ways that they can come back and purchase or complete the goal. And it always looked like it was multiple different visits, when in fact it could have been one. If a visitor comes on a cell phone, then they come back another time, and they come on a laptop, and then they come back on a tablet. It's hard for Google to track that kind of thing. So now, as they're tagged with an individual user ID, they can track these kinds of things. So one of the newer features of Universal Analytics is Google is creating new user-based interest segments, or affinities, basically where they feel that a user falls into a certain category, or where they perceive the person's interests are, they're labeling them and putting them into a different category. You can target these lists of people and segment them down to age, or education level, or their perceived interests, and while you're not going to actually see the exact identifying information of each individual user, you will be able to just blanket a certain list of the people that fall into those demographics, and then target your marketing appropriately. So with this new option, that means that you could target users based on their location, or perhaps maybe just their interest in real estate, for example. Additionally, now you can segment your visitors by age or gender. This is a look at some of the different categories or segments that Google creates based on their perceived, their perception of the users that they do have the information on. Now, while we discussed funnels earlier in the recording, that was specific path to a goal that's already set by you as the administrator. This is a look at the goal flow. Now, what this shows is the path of the visitors to the goal and how they arrived. And with this kind of a data, you can see where people are dropping off. The red line is people are dropping off. 14,000 people are dropping off at the starting page, let's say. So it gives you more control over the information that you have, and therefore the power to act appropriately, make changes so that you can keep visitors on the flow that you want, the path that you want to their goal completions. By looking at your data, you can properly attribute where conversions came from, whether they came from paid search, did they come from direct traffic, did they come from organic search. Taking a closer look, we see that 2 of the conversions came from 3 different channels. The final part of this presentation was about how to actually go about activating the Universal Analytic. When in the profile view that you want to add universal tracking to, you click on Admin, and then you click on Tracking Info. Click on Tracking Info, and then get the tracking code, copy and paste it into the head part of the website. make sure you enable user ID, and once you're completed, then you got to test it. Now, Tag Assistant is a browser-based add-on that tells you if analytics is installed and working correctly. If it's not working correctly, it'll give you ideas on how to fix it. And another cool aspect of Universal Analytics, well, it was also available prior, but this is an analytics discussion, is the ability to see your visitors real time. So you can see how many visitors are on the site actually at that moment in time. You can see where they came from, what location of the country or the world that they're in, what pages that they're actually viewing right at that moment, and whether or not they're triggering any events or completing any goals. So this wraps up my coverage of the Act on Your Google Analytics Data to Improve Your Business Results meetup that we hosted at Michael's Deli in King of Prussia. We welcome any questions or comments. Please subscribe to us, and thank you very much. You can always reach us at phillymarketinglabs.com.